Hi, welcome to this edition of County Happenings, where we find out what's happening in the county by talking to the man in the know, County Mayor Rogers Anderson.
How are you today?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm fine, getting ready for the holiday season.
Oh my goodness, I know. I've got a closet already half full.
Have you bought the old bird yet?
No, not the bird. That's one of the last things to buy. I want to keep it fresh.
Yes, soak it in that, what is it, salt water or something
The brine,
like that?
yeah,
Brine.
yeah. No, I do it the old-fashioned way. I don't do the brine.
Did you go out to the field and catch it?
Just about. Pluck it and make Indian headdresses for the kids.
That is the old-fashioned way. We better get on to this. I understand you did something fairly recently, took pictures of a new judge.
A new judge, yes. Dina Johnson, the wife of Senator Jack Johnson, was sworn in as circuit court judge by Tim Easter, the judge that she's taken his place. She is only the second female circuit court judge that we've had.
Let me guess who the other one was. Is she on the Supreme Court now?
She's on the Supreme Court, so watch out, Dina.
Connie?
Mm-hmm. Justice Connie Clark was the first back in 1989.
Been a few years.
Mm-hmm.
I know that she will do an outstanding job on the bench. And I know the governor had probably had a tough choice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I saw the list several weeks ago when it was first published, and they looked at the qualifications, and they're all very qualified.
Well, I know that she's very excited.
Yeah, yeah.
And we applaud the governor for finding another Williamson County person, and it's getting to be quite a...
Yeah, because the 21st District is not only Williamson County, it's Lewis, Hickman, and Perry. So it could have come from anywhere.
Interesting, just in the last, 2 or 3 years, we've seen a lot of judges pass through the Williamson County ranks, and a lot of promotions, a lot of laterally moving upward. Tim Easter will do a wonderful job at the next level.
So I'm guessing that there's a lot of interesting cases going on in this county that gives them the experience to move on to upper levels.
Oftentimes we don't discuss it here, and we don't really bring it up, but as our county has continued to grow in population, new people, new jobs, new companies, new corporations. Matt Largent can tell you all about what Williamson County in relationship to the Middle Tennessee area is doing. That also causes some real strong tension points on our court system because there's more people that use the courts.
Yeah, and it's not just traffic tickets and stuff like that. There's some big things going on.
And we really haven't addressed our court bricks and mortar and the volume in a good 10 years. We built a new judicial center. We still call it the new judicial center. We're still paying for it. Under the old historical courthouse has been there for 150, 200 years.
Yeah.
We do some cases over there, very, very small cases. It's not set up, it's not designed for it's certainly not for the hardened criminal cases. But it is something in the next few years we're going to have to look at and address and figure out a solution to it. Because as we grow, we have more court cases, and we're going to need more room, more space, more. And when you have more, that requires more law enforcement because you have to get them from the jails.
Right.
You have to bring them there. They have to.
You have to get them to the jails first.
You do, and
then,
every judge has a person in there for protection. That's part of the system that you have to go through. Not counting the desk and the little things like that, but the security system that you have to have for people to come through for clearance to make sure they're not a threat to anyone else in there. So lots of dollars. Stay tuned. I would say in the next few years we'll have to address that just like we do everything else.
Now, was the new judicial center, was that built with the thought of ever having to expand it? So is it expandable, or?
You can't go up on the building.
Right.
You could go out, but we're restricted on some of the going out. If you'll remember the conversations that occurred with the old Dan German Hospital.
Right.
And today that building is there. It's a historical landmark. You could go in there, but you'd find a whole round of battle of what to do. Parking.
It's horrendous right now.
It is, and you know, when we built the judicial center, the city and the county went together and built the new parking garage, the one I call across from Puckett's. We'll give them a free plug.
Yeah.
But that parking, without that parking garage, our consultants were telling us you'll never get court started on time. Now that's on top of the other parking garage
On Second Avenue.
on Second Avenue that many people use. But most of the employees that go to work, if they pull in, they don't leave during the day because it's on certain days
You won't get a parking
you
spot.
won't get a parking spot. And the parking garage, which there's no charge for it, has been extremely helpful to the downtown folks during the evening hours and the weekend hours, and of course the holiday season coming on. It's just it's a madhouse down there.
Yeah.
Very. I was listening to somebody the other day talk about Franklin as one of those gems. You know, they've made the Chicago paper, they've made the New York Times in the last 30 days talking about this little town outside of Nashville, which is the it city. It's growing, it's booming, it's expanding, and Franklin and Murfreesboro. But a lot of attention is going to Franklin and what the Franklin leaders and the counties participate in a great deal because we have property down there. So
Well, and you have whatever Franklin does affects the county in some way because you're surrounded. You surround it.
I think it's always interesting. I run into people all the time that do not realize that cities do not have a jail. You know, when someone is apprehended, detained.
Well, they have a little one in the big new center there, but it's just
it's more of
just
a
just to
detention
hold
holding
them.
tank. But you know, they got to come over to Century Court,
Yeah.
where all the jails are at for all of our cities. So there's constant activity at the jail,
Yeah.
and that's a whole new. That jail is 20 plus years now, and again, it's this as our community grows, you've got to provide those kind of services. The services nobody wants to pay for. You know,
We don't want to admit we need it.
Yes, but you know, we've added in the last year and a half a juvenile judge, and Sharon Guffey, Judge Guffey, who's that's all she does all day long is look at, hear, and respond to juvenile court cases.
As the county expands, we'll probably need another one.
Well, let's hope we don't need one right away. But
Yeah,
you know, we've got a system that works. I know it's been taxed. In fact, at the county commission meeting here recently, a new position was put in midterm for a helper be over for Brenda Hyden and Judge Guffey to do some of the process. They're just drowning in paperwork over there. And we normally, the county commission and myself, once that budget's set, we don't add bodies during the middle of the year. But all of a sudden, the last 6 months, it's just got to be, well, we're paying about as much overtime we could have hired a new person. So you look at those kind of numbers.
And if you keep having to pay overtime, you're going to burn people out.
You do burn people out. And even though all of us, well, not you, not me, but as a person years ago that used to work by the hour, when the overtime came, I looked forward to it because that was extra money. You could put beans and taters on the table, but it's a little different when you just got to get it done.
Yeah.
But our employees, the vast majority of our employees are hourly employees, and they do like the extra money during the holiday season. But like you said, it burns them out.
Yeah, eventually.
And our law enforcement community, when a judge keeps a court case going on past 4:30 and it goes into 6 or 8 o'clock, and we've had many of them go into 8, 7, 8, 9 o'clock on Friday night.
Wow.
And then
Shortens the weekend.
Does shorten the weekend, and then maybe not finish it and have to come back and do it on Saturday sometimes. So it can be.
And that impacts not only the judge, but a whole lot of other people.
Oh yes.
Assistants and
But
stuff.
we got kind of off the
Sidetracked, and
I'm
we welcome
proud-
welcome Dina Johnson.
she will be a wonderful asset to our system, and we wish her the best of luck.
Yeah. One exciting piece of news is there's a bridge opening soon.
Around Thanksgiving, maybe a day or two before, a day or two after, the I-65 bridge at Paytonsville. Everything goes right. We're knocking on wood. It's amazing.
Good Lord willing, the creeks don't rise.
As the old expression, the Tennessee Department of Transportation under John Schroer have successfully put a bridge up in an unbelievable amount of time. We're talking less than 75 days to get a bridge put in.
It's incredible.
That you can get from point A to point B. And that is so important. We have learned a lot. As sad as it was with the individual losing his life, it's taught us all, city and county, just how dependent you are, or you were, on that one road to get people back and forth. All public safety, we had to revamp it, had to retool it, and now it's led us to actually the county commission and the city aldermen are moving towards building a permanent fire station on the ag park, kind of in the back, and we're going to do horse trading, is my favorite term, where we'll give 2.5, 3 acres worth of land in exchange. We get some trade-offs from the city, like we need to have sewer on a permanent rather than septic tank or pump and haul, and that's been about 12 or 13 years, and then some road adjustments out there. So our county continues to grow, and cities and counties have to work together and figure out these solutions. And of course, transportation is a constant problem. I loved your story you told the other day about trying to get back from Spring Hill, where your husband has a meeting, and it took you longer to get from point A to point B than it did
to get into Franklin. Yeah, it did. Yeah, which brings me to a discussion about transportation on a bigger scale.
Well, I made the comment to you, and I made it to others. When you look at our 6 cities inside the 7th county, I call it, there are over 100 different men and women that serve in some capacity in boards, planning, elected officials, aldermen, commissioners, mayors, almost 100 people that have jurisdictional basis on areas. Now you throw in the feds, you throw in TDOT, and we've got some real issues trying to deal with transportation, and how do we do that?
So what you're saying is we've got city roads, county roads, state roads, and federal roads.
That's right. And getting all of those players to sit at a round table like we're sitting at and trying to find solutions sounds simple, but cities can't spend their city tax dollars outside their city boundaries. County, unincorporated Williamson County, under the highway department, can't come over and do work, nor can they spend money inside the cities. So if you're the city of X and I'm the county of Williamson, when I get to your borders, I have to stop.
So sometimes we have 4-lane highways meeting 2-lane highways.
That's right. And it's very, very difficult for city and county planning staffs, highway departments, for them to sit down and do any kind of developmental processes that would solve solutions to transportation. I think we've done an okay job. Now, there are many people going to watch this and say you've done a terrible job.
Not on my road, you didn't.
But I also understand that there are many projects the Tennessee Department of Transportation is doing. Concord Road, I-65, the bridge we were just talking about at Paytonsville Road. The city has done lots in the Carruthers area, Carruthers Road Parkway. Brentwood's done their share of roads. The county, we've done our share maintaining them. We've built a couple of, or rebuilt a couple of roads. We haven't built a brand new road in years. But when you think about all the complexities that go in, it's probably time for all of us to try to figure out a way of working with the state. And that's not going to be easy, but we have to do that. Incorporate transit.
Yeah. And when you say incorporate transit, are you talking about buses, trains, overhead rail, underground subways?
Well, I don't think you can write off any of that, but it's all about dollars and cents.
Yeah. And then
Most Williams County love their cars.
Yeah, and then getting people to ride those things.
Excuse me. We have 3 buses now that run in the morning and the afternoon from Spring Hill, Thompson Station, Franklin, and stop in Brentwood and go into Nashville. They have about 85 people each bus, 3 buses. The TMA has a van pool, close to 100 vans, 12 people to a van.
Is that the one that goes back to Clarksville?
Well, it goes everywhere. I mean, basically, you get a set of keys, and you go by and pick up 10 or 12 people, and you pay the true cost of the van.
I see.
It's a van pool. Then you have the transit system here in Franklin. You have Todd, stands for Transit on Demand. You call it, and he comes and picks you up, pay a flat fee. Well, we don't have buses. And we don't have anything on the horizon that says we're going to have buses. That's a lot of much. This is not Nashville.
Well, and now what if an individual company comes in and says, I want to start a bus transit thing?
I think they could. I don't think that's possible. It's so expensive. So government's going to have to find solutions to this. Rail is one of them, but the CXS has not been very amenable to allowing passengers to be on their cargo routes, and that's what the rails are.
So that's going to be trying to get the whole problem solved.
And
is
I
going
think
to be
some of the solutions, I mean, without just stopping the conversation, is
layered roads. You're going to look like LA pretty soon.
well, I think we need to look at employees, and are all of our employees layering the time their employees come into work? Could some of them start at 6:30, some 6:45, 6, 7?
Yeah.
We've done that over on the county government side.
And that allows for you to stay open a little bit longer for some departments and help out people that
Could you do 4 10s rather than 5 8s? We have certain departments now that are non-public. I mean, they're behind the scenes, but we have certain employees now that do 4 10s, and they're able to work. That gets them off the road on that 5th day. Some of them probably go find another job.
And it gets them to, when they leave work, they're not leaving work at the worst time.
Right.
They're kind of spreading out the love, so to speak.
It's always been interesting to me that during the school season is a heavy congestion.
Yeah.
In summer, when there are no school buses running, the congestion is a lot less.
Oh, those mamas, they want to take their kids to school.
And those are the things you have to have a discussion. I don't think government should mandate that we tell parents how to take their children, but the yellow buses that run all over our county, number one, they're expensive. We're having a very difficult time finding drivers for those buses, so the school board has incentivized some things, increased the pay, and done some things. So if you're watching this show, you need a good part-time job in the morning and the evenings.
With benefits.
With benefits. But our school buses, as a general rule, they're not completely full.
Yeah, and that's sad considering the number that we have and the cost of those buses. They should be full. I mean,
but
your taxpayers' money is paying for those.
But that's the kind of discussions we need to have. The general public needs to weigh in on it and say, well, let's look at this. Let's look at that.
And let's find out the reasons why they aren't full. If it's what's going on the buses between the kids, then we can deal with that. But
years ago, we heard that a lot of parents didn't want their children to ride the bus because they didn't have seat belts. There's pros and the cons of the seat belts. I understand that. Today's children, most of them ride in with their laptops or their iPads. So maybe we need to put Wi-Fi on the buses. So that would be more of an enticement for them. But
well, and also I know years ago when my kids were in school, the little ones rode with the older ones. But they split the time starts for the schools now so that you have the elementary doesn't ride with the middle or the high school.
All of those things need to be put on the table.
Yeah.
Not just school buses, but all of us as drivers are there jobs, and I think they are, that would require you to be at work at, for an example, 8, and you would get off at 4:30 or 5, with guaranteed rides back home. Do we need to better situate our bus routes that we're running?
Right. So the bus routes now that you have, what did you say, 3?
We have 3.
You may have to stagger them so that they can come home at 5:30 or 6:30 or.
I think you could look at how, have a parking area, and if you're there, then maybe we could take a van and transport you over to where the buses are. Because we are no way ready for the full bus routes, and it's a huge expense to do that. But we've got to figure out some of these solutions to get from Highway 96 back downtown Franklin and Highway 65 from getting it down to Franklin. The same thing for Old Hickory. Old Hickory is a nightmare to go through it in the morning and the afternoon.
And if there's an accident, which there seem to be at least 2 or 3 times a week, that just stops it.
And I think everyone understands I-65 going to Spring Hill down to Murray County.
Yeah.
So
but they're marking the line, so that's going to open up
well,
pretty
it's time
soon,
that
too.
we figure it out, have some meetings. We've been having them, but we're going to have to roll up our sleeves and try to find some answers to some of these questions. And I'm afraid it's not going to be very. It's not going to be.
You're going to have a couple
complaining. Have some complaints. That's true.
And it's all because we're going to talk about new construction, new home construction, which is precipitating transportation issues. I mean, we love our new people in these new homes because they bring in a lot of property taxes and stuff. And it's up already this year.
Yeah, building permits are up. Our building permits through this is November through September. We already are over what we did last year. Now that's city and county, lock, stock, and barrel. Our schools are full, and firms are continuing to look at our area to come and move into. But going back to transportation, we've got to find some ways to address that because people have to get to work, and people have to get out of work.
Yeah, the business can, if they can't get their people to their business.
So I think in probably the next 60 to 90 days, you'll see some real movement in that. I also want to put a plug in, if you don't mind, for a gentleman that's going to be retiring here in a couple of weeks, Doug Hood.
Yes.
Parks and Rec, I just thought of that. And Doug's been with us for 20 some odd years. Back in the 90s, he came here under the
when there was just one rec center.
Yeah. Actually, I don't think it was but 3 or 4 employees. One of those was Phyllis Huffman. It's still there.
She's still there. Huh?
She's kind of like the Diane over here, Diane Giddens. But Doug Hood has announced his retirement for the end of November, and we're going to use him on some special projects. He doesn't want to.
I think his wife doesn't want him to totally.
Well, I'm not going there.
I think Johnny has just said, you're not staying home.
I'm not going there. I know that Doug Hood has given me a letter that he's retiring. And he'd like to spend some time traveling and doing some things. But he's agreed graciously, after a period of time, to come back and do some special projects. Doug can do about anything. And it would be wonderful. I look forward to working with him, giving him some special projects on a part-time basis, maybe 8 hours a week. But he can do so much in a short period of time. He's got a wealth of knowledge, not just in Parks and Rec, but he knows all the players in the cities. So I'm looking forward to him working on those special projects. I'm not looking forward to him retiring. Those people that know Doug and what he's accomplished over his 20-some-odd years has been fantastic. We will do a temporary appointment. I'll ask Gordon Hampton to stay on a temporary basis until we can start the recruiting processes and name someone in to probably be February or March in 2015 before we get something really nailed down on the permanent basis.
One of his last official duties, which he's still got more because he still has another few weeks to go, but was to open Timberland Park.
Wasn't that a beautiful?
That is such a great place. I keep saying I want to take my computer out and do my writing out there.
Let's tell people where Timberland Park is. And I know the camera crew was out there that day, but it's if you went out 96 going towards Fairview, get up on the trace, turn left, go about 100 yards, it's on your right.
It's right there, and there's a nice sign now that lets you know that it's there, and then you go back in to just. If you like rustic, that's it. It's not
trails, 75 acres.
It's not a place to. you're going to go swinging and playing ball. It's a place to smell the fresh air and beat off the bugs and walk the trails.
Do the hiking.
Yep.
75 acres, 3 different trails. We'll have more. We have a beginner, intermediate, and advanced.
And with some of those hills and vales, you're going to have some really rugged rock walking.
I have walked them, and the advanced, for an old man like me, it's a challenge, but I did enjoy it. But it is nature. We got the turkeys, the
deer.
chiggers, the deer,
the ticks, the mosquitoes.
the mosquitoes. This time of year when it gets cold,
It's nice
it's
now.
great to go
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
Because those little varmints are gone. The big varmints, they're still there.
Yeah, well.
But it is just absolutely gorgeous. So I
Yeah.
encourage anyone to go out to the park. You can get a walking stick. You hand in your driver's license. You get a walking stick.
Yeah.
When you come back, turn the stick in, get your driver's license. We'll probably accumulate a lot of driver's licenses.
But it's a great place to visit, even if you just want to go and set a spell, because they got that nice little trail where the overlook, you can, with some nice benches to sit at, and it's just a nice place to
Encourage
meditate.
people to go there. People that are on the eastern part of our county, the Brentwood Park across from Ravenwood, it's opening. It's open
this weekend,
now.
I think.
You can go over there and enjoy the trails. It's about 800 acres worth of trails and hiking, and it's a little bit larger than what we've got over here. But
And it's a little bit more diversified.
Yes.
Because they're going to have ballparks there. They've got the home that's an event place, but you got quite a variety of, and then you got the hill behind that with all those trails. It's going to be beautiful.
we sometimes overlook what our Parks and Recs offers to us.
Yeah.
And not all communities have good parks and recreation.
Well, the
but-
variety that we have here. I mean, we've got the ball fields and the rec centers, and now the nature parks.
And every city except Thompson Station, and that's Thompson Station and its choice, has a recreational facility now that you can go and work out and exercise. And as we said at the last show and the show before that, veterans can go in free.
Yeah. So, well, we didn't get to half of what we planned to get to, but it was a good day to talk. Get rid of that cold and all that nasal stuff that you got packing up there, and you all take care of yourself. Have a great Thanksgiving, and see you next time on County Happenings.
Have you ever been told that you couldn't get a job because of a disability? Has someone questioned your ability to contribute? Then come to Goodwill, because we'll work with you.
In 2007, we began the Transitional Employment Services Program, and that program is designed specifically for individuals that have some type of a disability and that may need a little bit of additional support to be able to go to work. And our job coaches have a very big responsibility at Goodwill. They stand right next to them, they train them to make sure that the person is doing the job task correctly. So when people come to Goodwill, what we do is inspire them to look inwardly at who they can be and pick up the skills that they have and help direct them and encourage them to have the confidence to take those skills and go forward. I believe that everybody has something to offer, and I believe it's our responsibility to make sure they get that opportunity, and that's what we do at Goodwill.
If you've been told you'll never be able to work, but have the will to work, visit goodwillcareersolutions.org today. We'll work with you.